You can imagine the level you bring it. Like when they say you want to make the guy mad, you just spit on his mama or something.
That's right.
This brings a heavy duty motivation.
That's what happened with Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Andy
That was
Mineo
that
here
was
at
just what he
ES
needed. Like that. That was that motivational edge for him to rise up and face one of the baddest men on the planet. And you saw what he did there. It was crazy, incredible.
Coach, a couple questions.
Victor, you just broke down something to me that I think a lot of people are going to be surprised to hear. And it was a lot of stuff. I mean, we can go down the list, but number one, road work is bullshit, essentially. What you told me.
Yeah, the fighters that I work with, I do not encourage them to do any road work. If they do, I try to keep it down to once a week and under 3 miles. And the reason is you're developing slow twitch muscle fiber when you do tempo type long distance road work. So genetically, there's obvious variation, but you're about 50% slow, 50% fast. The type of training that you do can make you 80% fast or 80% slow. So if you're looking to be slower and weaker, then jump out there every morning and run 5 miles. Because in terms of application to boxing, and as you mentioned earlier about, the benefit is that you increase your stamina and endurance. Sprint interval training has been shown to be much more effective at increasing the uptake of oxygen utilization and capacity, and definitely helps you with stamina more than the tempo road work. You don't do anything connected with distance running in boxing. It's a couple steps forward or backward or side to side. We do sprint interval training, repeat 20s and 40s from a 3-point, and really it's the first 3 steps because you want to be very explosive, and as you know, your power comes from your legs. And we do, at SNAC, we have 30 different either hypoxicators, which give you low oxygen, or oxygen concentrators, which give you high oxygen. So we use both within a given training session. So Danny might start out at the beginning of camp on a skill mill, which is a non-motorized treadmill, and be doing low oxygen in the range of 14% or simulated 10,000 foot elevation. They ramp up for 9 seconds and then all out exertion as fast as he can possibly run for 6 seconds, and he jumps off. Then we recover for, the remaining 45 seconds. He jumps back on. He ramps up for 9 seconds, all out sprint for 6 seconds. So we do 5 repetitions. But when he's done in between that, then we give him high oxygen to help him recover. The oxygen deficit that gets created, they call it EPOC, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. That means how much oxygen do you have to breathe to fill your tank back up after you train. So that becomes a limiting factor in training. So in the beginning we do low oxygen. Toward the middle we mix it up and do both, and toward the end of camp he does all high oxygen. So that's the equivalent of running against the wind would be low oxygen. With the wind at your back assisting you would be the equivalent of high oxygen. So we do sprint work, we do heavy bag, we do horizontal plyometrics where they lay down and then they wear a mask, and it's got a special high-tech footboard that reduces stress on connective tissue, ligament, and tendon, and then they explode up 2 legs and 1 leg, but at different periodization there during the camp, they're doing low and then high. And because you want to be able to throw not just hard punches, but hard and fast punches, and then you want to be able to sustain that. So what we're really trying to develop is what they call speed and power endurance. Distance running may give you a little endurance, but the sprint training is what causes your body to produce lactic acid, which is produced entirely in fast twitch muscle fiber, not slow twitch. This also activates the hormones like growth factor and testosterone, as well as all the enzymes in your body. So,
What's the number one when fighters come into your camp and you test their blood in the beginning? What's the number one thing that you find that fighters are doing wrong?
Most are overtrained,
meaning they're not giving themselves enough rest.
That's right. You have to be able to calculate the training interval to the recovery interval. And everybody thinks it's the grind, that you should, while he's sleeping, I'm grinding. Burn the midnight oil. That's so untrue, all of it.
That's pretty much the Floyd Mayweather book that he.
I don't
always
care
preaches.
who does it. You got to understand the science.
Yeah.
You have what they call biochemical individuality. Everybody has different determination. Everybody has different physical gifts and talents. It's what can you do to improve. Now, imagine if he did scientific training, what he might be. So I'm just telling you, road work is not a good thing to do. Or I don't want to say it's not a good thing to do. There are better ways to improve oxygen uptake and utilization, and that's to use a mask or to use a chamber. And you want to use, everybody knows about simulated altitude training, and then the first generation was live high, train high. Well, that really is the worst for you, because you don't get any recovery. As an example, they built the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. You talk to a lot of boxers, they wake up with blood in their pillowcase.
Wow.
It causes sleep disturbance. So you're burning when you're in low oxygen, your heart rate's kicked up 10, 15 beats a minute. How are you recovering when your heart's racing?
Is
So
it
you want
hard?
to sleep in your own bed at sea level, and then use the low oxygen as a form of resistance to help break you down. But still, when you're at elevation, your all-out exertion is maybe only 85% of what it is at sea level. So you're just, if you repeat that over a period of time, eventually you're going to be weaker and you're going to be slower.
Is it hard for fighters to unlearn all these things that have been drilled into them since they started boxing?
That's why I spend a lot of time, educating them so that they understand why they're doing what they're doing, because I can't follow them around and tap them on the shoulder every 5 minutes and say, here's what you need to be doing. They need to understand why they do it and buy into it.
Yeah.
But any of the guys that come there, they like that the focus. We train very hard. We train harder. Other people grind, but they're not grinding at the pace that we are at a 10,000 foot elevation or 14% unstimulated oxygen compared to 21. But then immediately they come out of that big dome that you see, and right next to it is an active recovery chamber with 50% oxygen. So in between sets, and then we put them on an Airdyne bike, and whatever their heart rate is, when they're all out sprint, say it's 180, we calculate 60% of that. So then they'll get into the active recovery chamber, breathing 50% oxygen, and increase their heart rate like they're cruising on a Sunday bike ride in the park. Their heart rate up to about 110. And the reason is because this increases what they call the stroke volume, which means that with every heartbeat, you're pushing more blood, freshly oxygenated blood, to be delivered to your entire system. It's also a two-way street. Imagine your system was like a freeway system in Los Angeles, and you got 4 lanes open going both directions.
Okay.
Well, these little trucks, your red blood cells that have an area on it called hemoglobin that the oxygen molecule is attached to, get delivered to your muscle.
Okay.
But then once it's there, the little truck picks up carbon dioxide, ammonia, lactic acid, all the other metabolic waste byproducts, the metabolic pee-pee and poo-poo, and transports it back, and you exhale this out. So we're kind of clearing your system out. We're bringing lactic acid levels back down. We're energizing you, so when you go back for the second and the third set, you're actually faster and stronger than you were the first set.
Now you told me something that was surprising as well, that the old boxing ethos of waking up at 5 a.m., that the old red blood cells and stomping on your feet.
Well, the reason you don't want to do that is healing and tissue repair is maximized during sleep. So the first 4 hours of sleep, when you hit the pillow, it's about 90 minutes afterwards that you have, on average, because there's variation, but you have about 5 cycles of 5 stages, right? So here you are on the first one. Your sleep pattern looks like this. So the first time it goes down, stage 1, 2, 3, when you hit stage 3 and stage 4 for the very first time, which is the deepest state, where your heart rate is reduced the most. In a single burst, 70% of your 24-hour output of growth hormone is released. So the deeper the sleep, meaning you don't want music, you don't want light, you want a comfortable temperature, you want to take in nutrients like zinc and magnesium that helps your system relax and slow down. Well, that's when it all happens, is during sleep. Now, back to the issue of why guys wake up in the morning and go do road work and how stupid that is, okay? Here's what happens. The second 4 hours of sleep is when your body's producing testosterone. So this is why guys wake up with a woody and want sex in the morning. So right in the middle of, during the 24-hour, they call it a circadian rhythm, right in the middle of when you're getting ready to produce the testosterone. And by the way, when you wake up in the morning, your testosterone level is about double what it is later in the evening, in the day. Now, a lot of guys come in and train in the evening, where your testosterone level's half of what it is in the morning. So just when you're getting ready to produce 70% of your output for the day in testosterone, oh, let's don't do that, let's get up and go run. Then let's come back and go to sleep. You're disrupting testosterone is the most potent and powerful anabolic hormone that helps with healing and tissue repair and recovery and muscle strength and all the rest of it. So it's really, really dumb for people to be waking up and disrupting their sleep to go to do road work, which does nothing but help them develop slow twitch muscle fiber. So they call it the sweet science, but boxing's anything but scientific.
Wow. So we should be sleeping. When do you suggest running or starting to train?
We do the heavy duty training in the morning. We start about 10 or 10:30.
Okay.
Then they come back and they take a break. And then in the afternoon is when they do the boxing and sparring.
So my question is, all of this stuff, it sounds great, but it also sounds expensive though. Like how much, what's the cost of a fighter going to a place like Snack and doing a camp at Snack?
I sponsor all the boxers. Nobody has ever paid me a penny.
Wow.
So everything, all aspects, they're sponsored. The sparring partners, the massage, the medical treatment, the supplements, the blood testing, all the equipment. So that's why a fighter like Danny or Demetrius or Devin Haney, they had all three of them at Snack there with 3 full camps going on scientifically.
Right.
And of course, they were on the track and talking shit to each other every day, as you might imagine. These are very confident guys and everything is on the stopwatch, so it's highly competitive. But I like that environment. That's what brings everybody's A game out.
In theory, to play devil's advocate for a second, if someone like Floyd Mayweather, who has a popularly known odd sleeping pattern, somebody who would stay up at night sleeping, he said he wake up at like 2 p.m., 3 p.m. sometimes. Is that different now if your sleeping pattern is in reverse that you're running when you wake up? Or?
It's like guys that do shift work. They adapt. His day might be somebody else's night,
Okay.
But still, there's a study that was done with basketball players at Stanford. And they had them do all sorts of agility drills on the track. on the basketball court. And they got baseline numbers, and the only thing they did different was they took half of the guys and they slept until 8 o'clock. The other guys, they said, you're going to get an extra hour and a half sleep, and you get to sleep till 9:30. When they came back and did the repeat tests, sleep is performance enhancing. That extra hour and a half sleep every night really helps significantly their performance, their jumping ability, their sprinting ability, because that's when you heal, recover, regenerate, repair, grow. This is when all the performance gains are made, is during the recovery interval.
Victor, appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're welcome.